The crystal glasses chimed, a brittle, deceptive sound. Christmas dinner. I watched the candlelight flicker in the polished mahogany of the table, the same table where for 30 years I'd been taught the meaning of legacy. My father stood, his face flushed with the kind of false magnanimity only the truly self-satisfied possess. I noticed the slight nervous twitch in my brother's jaw. He knew something I didn't. He always did. "To the new chapter," Dad boomed, his voice too loud for the small, expectant silence. I lifted my glass, a perfectly calm mask fixed on my face, but underneath, the ice was already cracking. I'd been expecting this, not the specifics, but the final, definitive betrayal. The air had been thick with it for months, a slow poisoning. My father paused, savoring the moment like a connoisseur of cruelty. "We've decided to sell the family company." A collective gasp from the cousins. I didn't move. I simply watched my brother try to look surprised. Then came the knife twist, delivered with a smug smile aimed directly at me. "And before anyone asks, your brother is getting it all!" The table erupted. Claps, shouts of "Congratulations!" A celebratory wave washing over me. They looked at me with a mixture of pity and relief. The quiet one, the capable one, finally and unequivocally cut out. They saw a victim. They saw a fool. They saw wrong. My heart didn't race. It settled, heavy and cold. This wasn't a shock. This was the final piece of evidence I needed. The whole game laid bare. I was never meant to inherit anything but the burden of their expectations. The silent, 20-year dismissal of my contributions, my ideas, my very existence in the business. It all snapped into focus. They had been leading me to this exact moment. I lowered my glass, not spilling a drop. The clamor around me faded, reduced to a dull, distant hum, as if I had suddenly gone deaf to anything but the internal, strategic voice. I let the applause die down completely. I waited until my father was about to sit, feeling his victory complete. I smiled, a genuine, almost unsettlingly serene smile, and leaned forward, my voice cutting the residual noise like a razor wire. "Who handled the deal, Dad?" I asked, my tone conversational, genuinely curious. My father looked at me, momentarily thrown by my lack of visible distress. "Some private equity group," he dismissed, waving a hand. He saw my calm and misread it as defeat. "A big one. Orion Group. Very professional." The name hung in the air. A cold, deep satisfaction coursed through me, a slow burning venom. It was over. The game was mine. They had been so consumed with the who, my brother, that they never bothered to look at the how or the by whom. They only saw the closing document. I saw the trap I had spent 3 years building. I didn't shout. I didn't gloat. I simply let the truth settle in the absolute void of the room's sudden silence. My brother's face was the first to crumble, the false joy sliding off to reveal sheer terror. My father just looked confused. I couldn't help it. I let out a single sharp laugh, not of amusement, but of pure psychological release. I looked directly into my father's eyes, holding his gaze as the realization, slow and horrifying, dawned on him. "Dad," I said, the word dripping with the contempt he deserved. My voice was low, measured, final. "I am Orion Group." The room went dead quiet. It wasn't the sound of shock. It was the sound of a universe collapsing. My father's jaw dropped, the victory wine souring in his throat. He saw the cold, calculated revenge in my eyes, the plan that had been executed flawlessly beneath his very roof. I hadn't been waiting for an inheritance. I had been planning a hostile takeover. I rose from the table, placing my napkin precisely beside my plate. I looked down at the wreckage of their Christmas, the scattered lies, the exposed greed. I felt nothing. No victory rush, no regret, just the clean, satisfying sensation of control reclaimed. The family legacy? It was mine now, and their shame was the only dividend they would ever receive. I walked toward the door. I paused just before leaving them to their silence, the silence they had earned. I looked back at the table, at the people who had called me their son, their brother, their fool. I didn't say goodbye. I said, Merry Christmas.